J2, discussion and possible action to create a committee to gather and disseminate information in relation to the proposed 2024 Transportation Road Bond election.
Motion for discussion.
Second.
Villalobos.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Alex Villalobos, Hays County Judge's Chief of Staff. The spirit and idea behind this is to gather an appointed person from each one of your precincts. Each one of you would appoint someone to gather information for communication, the idea for the constituents to be able to communicate with them, bring forward, collate that information, and then possibly educate not only you as a court, from your constituents, but also the general public about the bond and the information that they gather through their contacts with the community, or as an arm of open communication from anybody that wants to call your particular offices. They'll gather that information. We believe that this has been a good practice in the past where they collate this information, just as we've done with the Parks Bond, and just use it as education, as an open form of communication from the constituency as a body, and then bring forward any items that you guys may be concerned about, that you guys should know about that, but at the same time bring it forward to the court on a consistent basis throughout the process of establishing the bond.
Any comments?
A little bit different. The Parks Bond was actually, or the commission that was actually set up for the Parks Bond worked for almost 2 years prior to that Parks Bond to develop those projects and to actually not only get a background on them, but to do the evaluation of those projects and then move them forward. What we're talking about is we've already voted to go to the bond.
Sure.
And so I'll just be very honest, asking the general public for additional feedback to make changes. Statutorily, we're past that point. And it's our job as elected officials to do that education. I would encourage any of my colleagues to go out and talk to every single group and get every bit of feedback they can. But I don't know about empowering a member of the general public to speak on behalf of the county for a couple of reasons. And the first one, and most importantly, is the education and outreach portion that we do on behalf of the bond. Anything that is developed through that process and then put forth or shared with the public, that becomes part of the contract with the voter. And I don't know that I couldn't, if I was asked today to try to name a citizen that understands each one of the projects or could go out and answer the questions related to the project that are occurring in my precinct, that's really my job as a commissioner to answer those questions and to go out and talk about what this project, the purpose behind it, the really reasoning behind it or the need. I just don't know if I feel comfortable with that because at this point it would be trying to educate someone. In some cases, some of these projects are 8 to 15 years old through their development stages. I think it's pursuant to us to make sure that we have that educational material developed in a very quick and timely manner, and it's out to the public, I would hope, in the next 3 weeks. But I just don't know about empowering a member of the general public that may not have a background on this, if that makes sense. Those are the concerns that I have.
Yeah, and I would agree with Commissioner Smith. It seems very after the fact to me. And like as a commissioner in my office, I'm already doing that outreach and having these discussions with the members of my precinct, and like that's already ongoing. So I'm a little confused on the purpose of this, other than what you said, because I think each of us have our own plans, and we know our constituents, and we know our projects, and we're the most informed person about our projects. So I just don't see how a committee would help unless it's the judge's office that needs more information to put out countywide. Then that's something else. But I think we're all doing our own within our offices to do that. It does seem very after the fact. I would have loved to have seen some of this prior to, but we've made the vote. We're already here. So
Sure. I know that the point of this is education and then open up a line of communication from not only the public but coming back to you. You still have to explain those issues. But I know that in light of a lot of the communications that are received by the office, there's still a point of confusion, right? So it's just another avenue of making sure that the constituents of the county have the opportunity to ask those questions If they're confused through any communication through your office or anyone that you're making the points out to, then obviously it's another level of communication. And it's always good, regardless of whether it's before or after the fact, good communication, open communication, giving the community the opportunity to address any concern possible is something that will come back to you to be able to address at any point. So I understand your concerns, and bringing this forward as another opportunity to really address a lot of the concerns that are still coming forward to the office. So.
And I know that we have a team that is also preparing a lot of that information to put out to the public, and I tend to agree with my colleagues. Commissioner Shell, do you have any comments?
Yeah, and I think I understand everybody's points. I mean, for sure, the depth of the projects and things is something that's would be hard to explain from even sometimes our perspective, even been involved in some of these projects for 10 plus years. The details of them, I don't have a problem with the communication. I would just kind of ask what the format would be. Would it be like a meeting? Would they have a meeting? Would there be a public meeting? Would it be something that they form, they have discussions on their own? Again, we would have to have some expert along with them to explain the history of each project. So I think the good points are made. I mean, as far as the bond list, it's prepared, it's approved, that's done. When it comes to explaining projects, I agree that's probably ultimately our responsibility. But if there are citizens that want to participate, I don't have a problem with it. I would have to find someone, which I have spent a little bit of time just to try to find someone, if the court wishes to do that.
Well, I know that if we were to move forward, that we aren't prepared today anyway, and so,
Right.
I guess we can have further discussion regarding that, and if
Just maybe some clarification of the actual role, I think, because, and again, I've probably fielded 20 or 30 calls of people who have asked me to come to either their HOA meeting or some, the chamber meeting or transportation commission meeting for a city, and I'm happy to do those. We do a lot of those anyway. And at this point, I don't think none of them have been turned down. I can promise you that. It's just scheduling. Some of them may not be the easiest, but I think all of us are willing to do any of those meetings. And so, if there are specific concerns that your office is hearing that they want us to be there or to sit down and talk about this historical data related to some of these projects or how we arrived at them, I think any of us would be willing to do that, or we wouldn't have voted for that bond package last week.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think, as we develop the information, which our team will be doing, that provides education, materials, website, flyers, et cetera. If that's something that we wanted to integrate with that part, then, again, it's something that the court could do and bring that back, and we can try to find someone. Commissioner Smith might need like 10 appointments, though, to every one of our appointments, just based upon public comment. So might need a little bit of extra help. But I'm fine with doing it. If that's if the court wants to, I'll work on trying to find somebody in the interim.
okay, so we won't have any action today, and possibly bring that back up at a later meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Okay, so let's see, where are we, Jay?